Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live, full-time reaction to Dundee United 0, Celtic 1 at Tannadice. I'm joined tonight by Martin and Callum to go over the game. You know how the live format works. You can ask your questions in the live chat box below. We'll try and include some good ones as we go through. Boys, tonight it was a stressful one again. We were fearing going into that late into that second half that we might get held to a draw again, Martin, but we found a way in the end.
We did. It was totally deserved. I thought in the balance of play, first half didn't start particularly well, but towards the end of the first half, we didn't win half time. And then in the second half again, dominated. United were happy just to try and contain us. 9 shots on target, 23 shots in total. United had 1 shot on target, and it was a good save by our keeper. Probably the big difference between this away game and the Kilmarnock game was the amount of touches we had in the box. We managed to get in the box and we just wasted a lot of chances today. If we got an early goal, I think the scoreline might have been quite different. But needless to say, you get into 80 minutes, few minutes to go, and we're all in panic mode. So it was great to see Lennon make some changes, some positive changes, make them quite early as well. And we're absolutely delighted to see our new star man up front get a goal in his debut just to take the pressure off him immediately. So good goal. Lots of energy today, lots of movement. It wasn't predictable as it was against Kilmarnock. It was great to see that, and we changed the formation 2 or 3 times as well, which again, we've got the ability to do that with so many different types of midfielders. So overall, delighted.
A huge relief in the end, Callum. I just thought, as Martin says, we had plenty of chances, plenty of play in the final third today, but it was just a decision making that was off at times. Going back to the start of the game, Dundee United started well. I thought they were pressing us pretty aggressively. You could hear their coaching staff barking orders for the side for the word go, and they did stifle us in that first 15-20 minutes.
I don't think we settled into the game, and you could see that for the first five minutes into the game. Dundee United presses right up the park, and fair play to them. For me, looking at it, it didn't look like a team that just came for the championship. They didn't really step back, what sometimes teams do, and show Celtic too much respect. They pressed Celtic right up the park, and it worked for them. And we couldn't just get into a rhythm. We just could not find a rhythm to get into. We were trying to play balls out. Beaton tried it over to Greg Taylor at left back, and sometimes we were just going out the park, and we just could not find that way of playing. But as Martin says, we dominated the ball. We had way more shots. Our keeper was barely tested. It's the third game. The keepers, we've not even seen it in all of them because no one's tested them. So even though we've not won the games by bigger margins, we're still dominating them. I would just like to obviously see us try and get into a rhythm quicker into games, because that's where our problem is. Sometimes when you don't, if you're going at 0-0 at half time, that's where the problem is, because teams then just start defending even more and more, and it gets dead compact.
Aye, Martin, as you say, back end of the first half, we did start to turn the screw a bit. I think Seacrest in goals for them was really good today. He had a lot of saves to make. If you think, in contrast to the Kilmarnock game, we didn't give their keeper enough to do that day. But we did look a lot more positive towards the end of that first half, and I think both Christie and Edward produced saves for the goalie.
Yeah, we did. We got to the edge of their box and were confident taking on players and getting into the box. So there was a lot came down Frimpong's side as well. He's getting a lot of space, a lot of crosses in the box, but there was lots of interplay as well. And you just couldn't tell who was going to take on the next pass, and there was so much fluency to our game today. Lots of movement, which really pleased me. And a few of the starting players surprised us a little bit. Paul, listening to your prediction last night, there was 2 or 3 that were slightly different to what we all expected.
Yeah.
But again, the changes that were made throughout the game just showed that Lennon's prepared to shuffle the pack, which I think we're all pleased about, because there are so many options when it comes to formation, whether we play more at the back, or whether we flood the midfield, or whether we do what we did at the end of the game and go 2 up top, which I think is what we're all hoping will happen longer term once we get a second settled striker.
Callum, Martin's touched on Frimpong there. He was almost out ball for us in the first half. Did get a lot of space down that right hand side. I want to touch on both the fullbacks today, because as I said, Frimpong did have a lot of space, but I just thought his end product was really poor at times. And Taylor on the other side as well. Struggled again today, I thought.
I thought in the first half, as you say, Frimpong was our out ball. I thought he was our best player in that first half, because he was taking the ball and he was carrying it. He was more playing like a right winger rather than a right back. When you look at Taylor, I expect a little bit more for Taylor. We paid £3 million from him. I know he needs to settle in, but he knows the league. He knows most of the clubs, all the grounds, and I don't think he had a brilliant game today. I thought he struggled. At times he struggled to cross the halfway line, never mind cross a ball. Sometimes he looks for a pass and he can't beat the first man either. So that's where Frimpong's pace is very effective for Celtic going forward, because he can just jink that shoulder and he beats a man, and then he can pull a cross back. Where I think Greg Taylor doesn't have that pace, and I think he's quite weak in the tackle. So I don't think that he likes going toe to toe with somebody and trying to get by a man. So I think the fullbacks is key for us going forward, because we have so much of the ball. So Greg Taylor either needs to get used to that, or we need to bring somebody else in, obviously. And we need to bring a left back in, because obviously the ball and goalie situation. But I felt that he struggled today. But Frimpong, I thought, was good, as you say. His end product wasn't the best today, but I still think that he was the better fullback.
I thought, as I say, that both of them had a lot of the ball today, but maybe just that end product was lacking at times. And Martin, I think wider, going across the whole team, I think today, at times, it was just that decision making in the final third wasn't quite there. Ryan Christie a few times today took on some speculative shots when there was some passing options there. So it was just that decision making in the final third that let us down at times. It
was, and I thought the busiest players in the whole game throughout the game were Christie and Frimpong. I thought they ran the whole game, worked tirelessly. Sometimes Christie was just a wee bit exhausted at the end product, and didn't. So often it wasn't getting a shot on target as well. I mean, we hit the bar, we hit the post. The ball went over the bar, by a few inches on a number of occasions as well. So the 9 shots on target probably didn't tell the full story. But I still think the defence is a really, really interesting dilemma that the manager's got. And if we bring in another strong centre back, and who knows if that will happen or not, and he goes to a back three, Frimpong and Taylor are currently fighting for their place, because they're not guaranteed a place if we go to a flat back three. Who knows what he'll do? You've got 3 centre backs in there just now, and Ayer's not getting a game, and the gaffer's obviously preferring Julian, and then Beaton's steady Eddie, isn't he? He's reliable. So if we bring in another strong centre back, those 2 wing backs might be used sparingly. So they really have to perform now and fight for their position, because if they're moved into being offensive players, as Callum says, and both of them are capable of doing that, then there's lots and lots of competition in that area of the park. I was concerned again today, similar to Kilmarnock, where they were frequently offensive, but when Dundee United did press, and they didn't do it too often, but on the odd occasion that they did, we were struggling for those wing backs to get back, and stronger opposition will take advantage of that as well. So that's my concern around the play in the back four, with those 2 are pushing up. Maybe a 3 with 5 in the middle and 2 up top would take that risk away.
I think that's a good point you make there, because I think we all want to see us get back to 3-5-2 in some way. But I was talking about this during the week. I don't see how we can fit in when we go to 3-5-2 that Forrest, Elyounoussi, Ayeti and Edouard. I don't think all 4 of them can play in a 3-5-2, because, as you say, with the wing backs, you have to, if you're playing Forrest, if you're going to have El Ahmed right centre half, then Forrest is going to have to be the right wing back, unless you play Frimpong, and that's maybe a wee bit defensive, because Frimpong is maybe naturally a right back. Callum, the thing we've all been crying out for in recent weeks since the season started, actually, is Olivier Ntcham in the starting lineup. We got that today, but I want to maybe get both your opinions, actually, and whether you think it worked or not. Nothing to do with Ntcham himself, but we think back to last season, we went away to Hibs, we drew 1 each that day, and Ntcham was in the starting lineup, and it didn't seem to work for us that day. It didn't click fully for us today either. So do you think shoehorning Ntcham into this sort of 4-2-3-1 system, as we've all been dying to see, maybe isn't the best?
I personally, I don't think that it works with Brown and Ntcham and on the same pitch. I feel as if Ntcham wants to control that area of the park, and when he's in that pitch with Brown, that's his role, that's his position, is to sit back. And I feel Ntcham likes to do that and maybe spray some passes across the park, where I don't think he gets that, so he finds himself sometimes out of position. And for me, I find a lot that he goes a lot to the wings, where I don't want him in the wings. I want him maybe just behind the 10 row, threading a ball into Edouard, maybe looking for Forrest on the right or Elyounoussi on the left, because he's got the talent. He's definitely got the talent to play the type of balls. But I feel as if with him, McGregor and Brown, it doesn't work. And I actually think that it takes away a part of McGregor's game. Because I think McGregor's been absolutely brilliant for Celtic over the last 2 seasons. But the start to this one, when Ntcham's played, I just thought that something's been taken away from his game with the 3 of them. So for me, I'm not a fan of the 3 in the middle of the park. Even though 3 of them are brilliant footballers, I just don't think it works with them 3. So I don't know how you get around it, because obviously Brown's the captain, he's going to play majority of games. Callum McGregor's undroppable, so Ntcham finds himself out the team by no fault of his own. It's just that the players that are there are just irreplaceable at this moment in time.
You touched on Scott Brown, the Brown and Cham thing. I've heard a few people saying that maybe not ideal having them playing together. But what you mentioned there about Cham, McGregor and Brown, I think it doesn't work because none of them are a natural 10, a natural advanced. I think Cham's better as an 8. You've got Brown and McGregor who play in the deeper positions. I've actually got a question in saying, guys, do you feel something's wrong with Scott Brown? He doesn't look his normal self. And Martin, it's maybe a bit of the stop-start impact on Scott Brown. We've obviously 4 or 5 months out there with the lockdown. He is 34, 35 years of age now, so he's maybe just not quite at match sharpness yet.
He's been a huge part of the team the last 4 seasons. He's played 50+ games, and we've relied on him so much. There was a period of time where he didn't play for a number of games, and we didn't miss him. We played really, really well, but I think it might come to that. I totally agree with what's been said, and so much as you'd maybe play in Cham and Brown's position, the alternative option would be McGregor pushes up and then Cham sits with Brown. But if you look at Cham the last 2 or 3 years, he's had that opposition in Brown and McGregor, but he's still featured in a lot of games. He's played an average of 40 games the last 3 seasons, and there will be injuries that we'll be relying on these players. We want to play them all right now, but we're going to have to rotate a little bit because of the number of games that we have to play, particularly this season. There's very little downtime. But yeah, we are rightly so. We're debating what your starting 11 is, and it just feels Brown would be a big decision for him not to start. He's your captain, he's your leader. He's when you need to dig really, really deep, he rallies the troops. And I know Callum is an adequate deputy, but I'm not sure he's yet Scott Brown. So. But it would be a big decision. To say Scott Brown's going to be the one to start on the bench most weeks, as opposed to Cham coming on. What I would like to see the gaffer do is make those changes a little bit earlier and make better use of the squad. Even sometimes half-time changes. Why not bring on fresh legs? It's not. If you didn't have that quality come off the bench, you would say your team's been weakened by making those changes. But it looks like when Griffiths was playing for a period there, you knew he was always coming off at 60 minutes. So I would make better use of the subs and they all bring something slightly different as well. And you've seen that today. Dundee United's heads must have been spinning, seeing the starting formation and then seeing some of the changes that they made throughout the game. Which side was Forrest playing on? Where was Christie playing? They couldn't predict what we were going to do, and I think we need to do that more often, in my opinion, as opposed to thinking too much about who your starting 11 is. I'd make better use of the squad.
Aye, absolutely. We've got plenty of depth there, as you say. Stuart has sent a question in. Thoughts on Elyounoussi, non-existent again today, but it seems like another area where we're lacking real depth if we're playing 4-2-3-1. Callum, I thought Elyounoussi was very good during the week there. We know the standard opponent maybe wasn't that highest. I thought he was poor again today. It's difficult because we know that wide players can be inconsistent, but he's got a good reputation. Southampton paid big money for him. There's no doubt he'll still be on good money on his loan spell here. But he's just been a bit inconsistent now, hasn't he?
I just think that even in the game today, you've seen wee glimpses of him try to take a man on, and he could take the ball in and run by. But it's also down to Dundee United as well, that how they set up at the back. He was up against 2 people at a time, and the boy, I think it was Lewis, right back, was actually really good for Dundee United. I thought it was really good for him. So Elyounoussi wasn't great today. He's been a bit in and out, as you say, with wingers inconsistent. He started pre-season really well for us. Obviously Reykjavik, I don't know how much you can look into Reykjavik. They're not a great side. They're a part-time team. So I just think that he's taken a little bit to find his feet, and with the inconsistent start of the situation with Bolingoli and we've not played, then you're looking at that, you're going to find that within across all of the players. That's what we lack. Well, Dundee United looked fitter than us, looked sharper than us, but that might be down to the amount of games that they've played before us. So naturally it takes us 5-6 games. Even I think it was last year we kind of struggled at the start of the season, a lot of maybe 1-0s, and we dropped a lot of points right up until October. So we did struggle, but it's one of these things that we just need game time in the play, and that's why you've seen actually Beaton playing and then Cham playing, because he has to rotate the squad, because you can't just keep playing the same 11, because then when an important game comes up, you've got another important game after that. So we've got a really important game on Wednesday, so he needs to get time into the legs of maybe Beaton, because if Ayler gets injured, then Beaton has to play, so you can't just ask him to come out of the cold. So understand why he's rotated the squad and made changes, but it's just the 3 points. That's what's most important at the start of the season.
Aye, I think it's tough to keep everybody happy in it, and you've got to keep everybody at a level of match sharpness as well. So that's the difficulty with a big squad. Martin, we did get the breakthrough. It came in the 83rd minute. Christie hits another shot. It's a decent save by the keeper, but yet he does really well to keep it alive. Was sort of backwards header in the first instance, and then he's the first to react when the ball's on the ground again, and he puts it away.
Yeah, there was kind of 4 touch points, wasn't there? The cross itself, which is a powerful shot, and the keeper did well to parry it out, and then the header back in, as you say, and then I thought Eddie did well as well. A wee bit trickery, didn't quite get the ball away from his feet to get the shot.
Yeah,
and then I thought Ayeti was great. He was really lively. He blasted it past 3 or 4 players. So every part of that goal was good. I think the other thing that the Forest and Christie and Elyounoussi have all brought to that team, and that's why it's good to have them all involved, is to bring a bit of support to Eddie up front. And the goals for Forest the last 3 seasons, I think his last 3 seasons 50 goals, and prior to that he wasn't scoring any goals at all. So he's a different player when it comes to putting the ball in the net. And Christie 19 goals last year. So I mean that's sensational, isn't it, for him to be getting that many? And if he got 20, it'd be a fantastic season. So one away from that, and then Elyounoussi got 9 goals in 20 odd games. He's still finding his feet, but he's given us a number of goals. So I think all those 3, in the absence of a second striker, they bring lots and lots of goals and know how to put the ball in the net, and that's sometimes what you need in these tight away games when your chances are limited. Albeit that wasn't the case today, but guys who are used to putting the ball in the net.
Aye, Callum, it's good to see. It's a goal scorer's instinct for Ayeti in it, just to keep it alive and then be in the right place at the right time and react quicker than any of the defenders, and smash it in. Scrappy goal in some ways, but a massive win for us.
Oh, definitely. As Martin says, I wanted Ayeti on a little bit sooner than when he did come on, just to get him some more game time. So I was buzzing when he did come on, but what I was picking up on that point is that if you actually look at it, it's only Ayeti that scores that goal, because if Ajeti's not on that park, I don't think a Ryan Christie or a James Forrest is in that position, even to because he's waiting in a striker's position for maybe the keeper to save it and then just to drop it where you don't have that apart from Edward, because he's the only striker on the park. So the fact that they've put him on is definitely a bonus for us, and you see that as soon as you says, the ball, the keeper saves the shot for Ryan Christie, and then he does a backwards flick with his head, so keeps the ball in and play. A little bit of a scramble and falls to him and just finishes it. And there was three players for United that tried to clear the ball off the line. So that tells you how desperate they were to try and keep a clean sheet. And that was like the whole game. So it was brilliant that Ajeti could come on and change the game. I think you've seen it after the end. I think John Kennedy needs to take a lot of credit, because you've seen Neil Lennon go right up to John Kennedy and hugs him right at the end. So that must have been a decision. Maybe John Kennedy decided, you know what, I think we should maybe go now, put Ajeti on. So I think he deserves a lot of praise, but I'm buzzing that Ajeti's finally got off the mark for us, and hopefully it's many more goals.
Aye, that'll do his confidence a world of good. Martin, on to Wednesday. No doubt it'll be a tougher test. We don't know too much about Ferencváros, but we do have a video coming up on Monday night with a Hungarian football expert to give us a lowdown on them. But they were in the Europa League group stages last season. I think they missed out on the knockout stages by a point. So it will be a step up on Wednesday for us. It
will be a step up, and really important game. Good to be playing at home. So yeah, hopefully we can get through that, because I think the next rounds around we've faltered previously, Paul. So we've still got three rounds to get through, but we are strong favourites on Wednesday, and if we turn up, then we should get through that. Certainly played well last week, but it's a completely different game, wasn't it? The weren't up too much, but it'll be interesting to see what the starting lineup. But I mean, it's getting to that stage now where we're not quite sure whether that be defensive or in the midfield, or in fact even up front now. We're not entirely sure. How different do you think? How different do you think the team will be on Wednesday? Do you think we'll see many changes for the starting lineup today? I wouldn't be too surprised if there was 1 or 2 changes. I think most of us thought El Hamid would get a start today. A little bit more experience than Frimpong, so I wouldn't be too surprised. As Callum said earlier, Taylor didn't do terribly well today, so will I come back in potentially. And then in the midfield, interesting to see who'll start. I agree with Callum again. Elyounoussi wasn't fantastic today, but yeah, he was good during the week. We just need to trust the manager's judgment. It's a feel good today, getting that goal late in the game. I was looking at some of the stats earlier on, and the Gaffer's domestic win ratio last year was 89%, nearly 90%, and that's incredible. And I haven't found the time to look to see if that's ever been achieved in the Scottish game in a singular season. But between the cup games and the league games, he's at 89% win rate, and we need to remind ourselves of that when we're reading papers and hearing about how bad we are, and the opposition's much better than us. The opposition's win rate over the last couple of years is 65% compared to our 90% domestically. We are the dominant team, and we need to believe and be calm this year. there'll be lots of people wanting us to make a mess of it. So really feel good factor today, and hopefully continue that into next week, followed by a home game and just get a bit of momentum and do what we did brilliantly the last few years. And if it's all about us, but we need to be calm and positive throughout the season.
100%. That's a great point about the win ratio last season. We were so consistent, and I think again today you see it's maybe a bit of a cliche, but that is the hallmark of champions, to find a way to win that game, even in the last 10 minutes. That's all we've got time for today. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. As I say, we will be back on Monday with a preview and a lowdown on Ferencváros and the Champions League qualifier on Wednesday. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on Monday. Cheers.